The last examples I would like to discuss are ones that have 4 against 3. And in a few minutes, we'll highlight Fantasy Impromptu, which is an amazing example of 4 against 3. It has 4 pages of 4 against 3. But prior to that, I would like to do an example again from Chopin, the Waltz in D flat major, the Minute Waltz. Famous piece. We all know, we've heard it. We've probably all taught it. It has 1 measure of 4 against 3. And I actually love this example because it's a wonderful gateway into other 4 against 3 examples for this wonderful cross rhythm. So the waltz, of course, is in 3/4 time, has a wonderful A section. And then that goes on. When we get to the B, and of course we just heard this 4 against 3. This B section is interesting because it comes out of the A section, which is just wonderful quarter note pa in your left hand, and the right hand are just lots of scale type passages. And then you get to the B section, and the melody is more angular. And then a few measures in to the B section, you have this 4 against 3, which it just sort of comes out of nowhere. It is wonderful, as I've mentioned. I love cross rhythms. It just adds that sugar and spice to a phrase. And I was really surprised the first time I taught this piece because the student came back with this. And I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? Because I did that listening approach that I've talked about, which is, and then anyway, and it didn't work for this particular student. And this is an awkward measure. It just sort of comes out of nowhere. So I sat and thought, and I had attended a presentation, as I will mention, with the Fantasy Impromptu of learning rhythm words for cross rhythms. And the rhythm words for 4 against 3 are pass the golden butter. And of course you may have a different one. I love rhythm words and tried that, pass the golden butter. And those rhythm words, as I've mentioned earlier, work for a lot of students. It's wonderful, and you can teach a rhythm word and bam, you have solved the rhythm problem. At some point, the student it didn't work, and we were still getting, and I thought, I don't even know what to do. But I charted out the pass the golden butter and looked at the math, and of course we'd done the math with the student, but 4 times 3 equals 12. You don't have time to count to 12, except if you pull it apart and go to the most minute part of the rhythm, the most detailed part of the rhythm, you actually can learn to do that. And so I decided, rather than counting to 12, I would count to 4 3 times. And I charted, which I'm showing now. I charted the rhythm in, so the 4 times 3 is 12, which is 3 beats of a 3/4 measure, if that makes sense. So I spread out the 1 measure into 3 measures, and I then counted with the student 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and did that, and this, again, as with any cross rhythm, takes a lot of patience if you want to dive in and figure this out. I did that, and then I have them probably the next week do 1 and 2 and 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 we do that. And I again will explain to the student, here's what it looks like in 4/4, and we've got the 12 beats, and then here's what it looks like in 2/4, and again, we're dividing each beat in half, so 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and we explain that. Then we're going to make each beat a 16th note, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a... So that's the math. And students like that, they love to see the notation and what it looks like. Then I teach them the Pass the Golden Butter. If I've probably already taught them that. Then after we do the math, we'll talk about that again. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a Pass the Golden Butter. Then you can actually go faster with this. 1 E and a 2 and a 3. Pass the Golden Butter. So on the little chart, it shows the different notations for quarter, eighth, and 16th for the 12 beats for Pass the Golden Butter. And students like that, and depending on what they're understanding is kind of where I will take them through this process. Then I have a little sheet that goes through the 12 beats when you have quarter notes. So I'll call this rhythm number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. We do that. Then I switch over to eighth notes, getting the beat, but we're counting 1 and 2 and 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 1. And on this one, I will speed it up. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and when they're fast enough, I'll say the words 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and pass the golden butter now. And then once that's fast enough, then we switch and I show it once that's fast enough, we switch and I show them what it looks like in for 12 16th notes, which would be the equivalent of 3 beats, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a pass the golden butter now. So we do all of that. That's just the little 4 against 3 measure. Now what I have found is sometimes the problem is coming into it. So after I've done all that, I take them back and we do the quarter notes again for the 12 beats, but I am going to take the measure before. So I've charted that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So we do that. And then I speed that up, and then I switch. We take them, and we're going to have 12 eighth notes. So that's the 2, 4, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So I've charted the measure before, 1 and 2 and 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 1. So we do that. I speed that up, and once they've got quite a nice tempo, then I add the Pass the Golden Butter on this one. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and Pass the Golden Butter. So we do that, get it faster, and then I switch where the 12 notes notes are now 16th notes, which all fit in a measure, and then we add the measure before. 1, 2, 3. And they can say the Pass the Golden Butter, and it works. What's interesting on this one is when you actually notate it in the 3/4, it matches, and it's a wonderful segue into it fits really, really well. And this is what the 4/3 actually would be notated if Chopin had done that. So students really like that. And then once they can do this at that nice slower tempo, I make lots of metronome goals. We get faster and faster and faster until they have got this rhythm number 3 at the same tempo that they can play the regular piece. So they would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's still not fast enough, but it's a wonderful gateway, and it gets them into playing it correctly. Now, as I've mentioned on some of the others, very often the student can kind of slide backward, and they'll have that Pass the Golden Butter, and then they come in and do the old way. So they'll do that, or and I'll think, all these weeks, and now they've slid backward. But I just take them through the steps again, and it goes faster, and a lot of times they just need 5 minutes of reviewing that. And so I have learned, as they're working through this and working through this process, they have to keep reviewing those steps. And my favorites with students are the rhythm number 2 and the rhythm number 3. And usually if I have them review that and keep reviewing it, it will get that 4/3 really well, and it's wonderful.